सो जस्ट थिंक अबाउट अ प्रॉब्लम. नाउ वी हैव, हमने क्या किया कि हमने एक वर्ड ले लिया और उसके अराउंड हमारे थॉट्स मैप कर दिए. वॉट एवर कम्स टू योर माइंड यू शुड बी एबल टू स्ट्रक्चर इट कुछ न किसी वे में. देर आर ओपन एंडेड एंड क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चन. सो ये ओपन एंडेड क्वेश्चन का प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है पता है? तुम्हें यहाँ पे कुछ पता नहीं होता है. एट टॉप ऑफ माई हेड आई कैन फर्स्ट क्लासीफाई देम इनटू एक्सटर्नल एंड इंटरनल. In the last video, Nirantar has presented his thoughts regarding data as a word, and he had mapped those thoughts very efficiently. Now today we'll be discussing thoughts regarding instruments, and this is something Mayuresh will take up, and he will tell us about all the thought that he was able to map against the word instruments. So go ahead, Mayuresh.
Yeah, as we can see, instruments are divided into basically three parts: mechanical instruments, electrical, and electronic instruments. On the basis of their usage and application, they are divided into these three types. Electrical instruments are basically divided into two major parts: AC and DC.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as we can see, the instruments are also divided using their features, how uh, what specification they hold. On the basis of that features, they are also divided into four features. Their uses are divided into four parts: what parameters that instruments can use, what working principle that instruments is on working, and how much accuracy that instruments is giving for that parameters that can be measured from that instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And also that instrument does have the data storage facility or the Wi-Fi based cloud storage facility.
Okay.
That means that instruments can store the data using the cloud storage
Mm-hmm.
using Wi-Fi. On these features, that instruments are divided into various parts. Then also there, uh, on the basis of their uses, instruments can be used in maintenance department for the machine install maintenance department for machine maintenance, then plant maintenance, and
Okay.
also for the installation of a new machine or commissioning of a plant or commissioning of a office. These instruments are used in a various types of this department in industries. Also in R&D and testing for inventing the new products or the modification of a, previous products on the errors of that product.
Mm-hmm.
So we can improvise that product for a better outcome. In the monitoring purpose, industry have to do the power audit for their uh, power consumption records. So
Mm-hmm.
these instruments are mainly used in these power monitoring features, which have power monitoring features in their specifications. So on the basis of that monitoring, uh, they can conclude that how much power is consumed in industry, how much they can save from that monitoring. That
Got it.
their their loss, they can reduce their loss in the power consumption or any other area or in any other area.
Understood. Understood. So now, with data storage or cloud, there would be another layer, right? There would be reporting of this data points somewhere. Since these guys are collecting data points through the instruments and storing them within the instruments, if the instruments have memory chip, or through Wi-Fi to a cloud database. So they
Yes,
must be generating reports out of these instruments, that what
yeah,
kind of consumption or what kind of parameter it checked on historically, now what it is, right? So in over here, in here would be sensor is something which will be a common thing. There could be a sensor, there could be a measuring instrument, and there could be what other kind of instrument do you think there will be? There would be a sensor, there would be a measuring instrument. Anything else that you would like to notify?
that's it.
I don't know exact word, but there would be a transformative instruments which either transforming,
Transducers,
right?
transducers,
They are transferring some let's say AC to DC converters are there,
encoders, transmitters,
encoder
transducers.
transmitters, right? So first, out of this type, first layer would be the type of instruments. So first is your sensors, then you have transmitters, then you have measuring instrument, then encoders. An encoder and decoder will come under single umbrella, encoder slash decoder, right? So this is your first layer in type when you think of instrument. Now you have defined it basis type, but a sensor can be both. It could be in mechanical and it could be an electronic sensor also, right? Maybe in transmitter case that's not the case in transmitter, but measuring instruments again can be a mechanical one or electrical one or electronic one. Everything is possible. So whenever you layer your thought, just try to figure out what are different levels at which we can classify, and what under what umbrella there are multiple things that can fit. So measuring instrument will fit all the measuring instrument, like maybe your weight scale, right? To something. Can you give any example of measuring instrument? Like an oscilloscope is also an measuring instrument, right? So that's an electronic measuring instrument, where weighing scale is your normal mechanical one also, which is basically spring based. Pre tension spring is there. So that's how you think about it. So you have nailed it to a point, but to layer it much more efficiently, you have to think maybe zooming it out from the actual types of instrument, so that तुम्हें एक layer add करने का मौका मिलेगा, right? In terms of features, I guess parameters measured, working principle, accuracy, and data storage. Again, these are features of an instrument, or maybe you could classify that into two parts. One is entirely efficient use of the instrument. When we say efficient use of the instrument, it basically means उसका accuracy कितना है, उसका tolerance level क्या है, what is the range in which instrument is operating, right? There will be always a range for an instrument, so that could be your another parameter over here. When we say ranges, कि यार ये जो मीटर है ये 5 एम्पियर तक का करंट मेजर कर सकता है, right? That is one thing. There could be like we said here, it could be a reporting also, because once they are collecting the data, to make sense out of that data, they would need reports, either through maybe some dashboards where they see that what kind of readings we have occurred in the past 6 months, 3 months, or a week, however they want to store that data. Next is working principle. Again, working principle is a very interesting thing, which can be further classified into multiple layers, because there are some products which will consist of 2 or 3 multiple working principles, right? वो 3-4 लॉज को फिजिक्स के या केमिस्ट्री के लॉज को यूज़ करके कुछ चीज़ मेजर कर रहे हैं, एंड देयर वुड बी अ सिंगल वन ऑल्सो, कि जैसे वेइंग स्केल है, उसमें कुछ ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेशंस है नहीं, एक प्री लोडेड स्ट्रिंग है, उसके ऊपर वेट मेजर होता है, बात ख़त्म, राइट? But whereas your other instruments like an oscilloscopes takes a whole lot of things inside it, and then it produce output. ऐसे नहीं कि वो बस एक चीज़ कर दी तो वो आउटपुट आ जाता है, right? So the complexity of working principle also can be bifurcated into 2 parts, right? Simple working principle and complex working principle. Parameters measured, maybe range could be under parameters measured, कि आप किस पैरामीटर को क्या रेंज में मेजर कर सकते हो. Then maintenance, installation, commission, R&D and testing and monitoring. Now this is considering the usage of your product, right? Instrument as a product, if it's used, what will be the ways that you can use this. Now under maintenance also, there could be two things, right? There are some instruments which are needed to repair your machine and make it functional, and there will be another need of using those instruments to calibrate that machine, right? कि अगर मेरा any example that you want to give, I guess you are the more accurate person to do this, कि एक कैलिब्रेशन के लिए यूज़ होता है बट दूसरा वाला मेंटेनेंस के लिए यूज़ होता है, पूरा मतलब मशीन मेंटेनेंस में यूज़ होता है एज अ स्पेयर
पावर एनालाइजर.
पावर एनालाइजर. व्हाट इट डज पावर एनालाइजर?
एक पैनल होगा, तो उसका जो आउटपुट है, इनपुट टू आउटपुट, मतलब समझो इनपुट 5 वोल्ट दिया है, जस्ट फॉर एग्जांपल इनपुट 5 वोल्ट है, उसका आउटपुट उनको चाहिए 4 to 20 मिली एम्पियर. सो पावर एनालाइजर analyze that input voltage, and it analyze the whole process in the panel, and it get the output corrected. So we can calibrate on that power using that power analyzer the output.
Correct.
You may not get the correct output of at the end of the panel.
Got it. So this is something maybe for calibration purpose. There could be relays also in your control panels, right? In the industry.
Yeah.
So relays is nothing but kind of उसको हवालदार समझ लो यार. उसको एक सर्टन लिमिट तक का करंट दे दिया तो करंट को आगे पास करने देता है. तो आई सिंपली थिंक इट एज एन bribe for the relay, that if this current is passed it will allow all the currents to pass, and so relay is a kind of a maintenance product, right, which will be used. So there are two types: either you are improving your machine's capabilities of doing the job perfectly, or you are simply maintaining your machine with the instrument. Then installation and commissioning. I guess maintenance and installation commissioning is entirely kind of a whole thing under one bucket, where you could simply largely say that plant installation and maintenance, right? So that will come under one thing. R&D testing and monitoring is basically will come under one umbrella, which will be thinked as your internal instruments use and external instrument use. So this whole part is your, let's say, external instrument used outside of your R&D facilities, and this is something is entirely used within the R&D facilities. Here monitoring can be also used over here. So monitoring will be kind of an both. It could be used to monitor your entire plant, and then there is some over here in R&D for the testing purposes also, कि हमने जो भी product develop किया उसका testing होता है. तो I'll give you an example. Lot of car manufacturers test their engines. तो कोई भी गाड़ी में जो इंजन आता है उसके पहले बहुत टेस्टिंग होती है. सो वो क्या करता है, उस इंजन को एक रूम में लगा देता है और उसके ऊपर काफ़ी सारे सेंसर्स लगा देते हैं, और इस इंजन को 2 दिन 4 दिन कंटिन्यूसली चला के देखते हैं या 1 दिन कंटिन्यूसली चला के देखेंगे. एंड व्हाट आर डिफरेंट पैरामीटर्स दे कंसिडर, कि टेम्परेचर कितना है, पावर आउटपुट कितना जनरेट हुआ उस इंजन से, हाउ वेल द इंजन cooled itself through using radiator coolant and everything. So all the parameters that are going to affect the performance of that engine is monitored through a software called Labview, and all these data would be collected through instruments, which are basically sensors, right? And one more piece I would say is the software part for an instrument, because instruments are used through softwares a lot of times these days. Correct, Mayuresh? A lot of instruments have their maybe pre-installed driver that needs to be added to your PC or your laptop, which is going to be used for that purpose. So software is also an important aspect of instruments these days. Anything else that you would like to add, Mayuresh?
That's it from me.
Okay. So what are the thoughts now into both of your minds, like यार ये सब तो कर लिया बट इसका यूज़ केस क्या है? आर यू गाइस थिंकिंग लाइक दैट कि ये करने से फ़ायदा क्या होगा?
Yes,
Okay. I have one quite an interesting answer for you. So just think about a problem. Now we have, हमने क्या किया कि हमने एक वर्ड ले लिया और उसके अराउंड हमारे थॉट्स मैप कर दिए, राइट? Why we needed to do that is to open up our mind. The एक्सरसाइज का पर्पज़ यही था कि जो भी चीज़ सुनी या देखी, वॉट एवर कम्स टू योर माइंड, यू शुड बी एबल टू स्ट्रक्चर इट कुछ ना किसी वे में. एंड you guys have done a very good job considering your first thought mapping, right? Ab when I say in analytics there are open-ended and close-ended questions we discussed in earlier sessions, right? So ये open-ended questions का problem क्या होता है पता है? तुम्हें यहाँ पे कुछ पता नहीं होता है, तुम्हें वो बस आके बोल देते हैं यार मेरा रेवेन्यू डाउन है. अब रेवेन्यू डाउन होने के 10,000 रीज़न हो सकता है. एट टॉप ऑफ माई हेड आई कैन फर्स्ट क्लासीफाई देम इनटू एक्सटर्नल एंड इंटरनल. अभी फर्स्ट 2 थॉट्स आ गए मेरे दिमाग में. नाउ वंस दैट इज़ डन, ऐसा हो सकता है कि यार ये जो रेवेन्यू है ये एक्सटर्नल में किस वजह से कम होगा. जैसे कोविड हो गया तो वो तो किसी के हाथ में नहीं था, तो रेवेन्यू डाउन होना ही था. सेकेंड हो सकता है कि जहाँ पे तुम सेल करते हो मेजरली वहाँ पे पॉसिबिलिटी ही नहीं है क्योंकि इंटरनेट नहीं चल रहा है. जैसे जम्मू कश्मीर यूनियन टेरिटरी बन गया तो इंटरनेट रातों रात बैन हो गया. सो यू हैड नो कंट्रोल ओवर देयर, राइट? मे बी ऑन ऐप स्टोर बिकॉज ऑफ गूगल आपका ऐप ही नहीं दिख रहा लोगों को. अब इस चक्कर में आपका वेबसाइट या आपकी जो ऐप ट्रैफिक है वो बहुत ज़्यादा कम हो गया और आपका इवेंचुअली रेवेन्यू डाउन हो गया. सो दीज आर एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स. नाउ यू कैन मैप दोज ऑन द वन साइड ऑफ योर थॉट मैपिंग. नाउ देन देर विल बी इंटरनल फैक्टर्स कि आपकी इन्वेंट्री नहीं थी प्रोडक्ट्स की, you did not have enough inventory to sell to customer. Then second layer could be second thought could be, let's say you have product issues कि आपकी टेक टीम ने नया फीचर लॉन्च कर दिया बट दैट इज़ नॉट यूजफुल एंड जिसकी वजह से ट्रैफिक नहीं आ रहा है. नाउ वी आर लूजिंग ऑन ट्रैफिक एंड इवेंचुअली ऑन रेवेन्यू. So you can map your thoughts around these open-ended problems because these open-ended problems are largely very complex in nature and no one knows the correct answer for those open-ended problems. So with this thought mapping process, what you can do is you can map your thoughts against any open-ended problem और उसके साथ तुम्हारा जो solve करने का तरीका है ना वो effective बन जाता है. Now think of if you divert it into internal and external. अभी external तो तुम्हें वैसे भी न्यूज़ से पता चल जाएगा, तो अगर वहाँ पे कोई possibility है तो वो rule out हो जाएगी. So if you think of it, if you know the internal and external factors of your problem, external factors always be known to you because वो न्यूज़ में ही आ जाता है वैसे भी, right? If it's a large external event, now you can rule those out. Then the internal factors. So अगर तुम्हारे पास layered thought है तो तुम layered तरीके से डेटा चेक कर सकते हो. जैसे कि अगर सीजनलिटी इशू है कि हर साल जनवरी में धंधा कम ही होता है भाई, तो रेवेन्यू ड्रॉप हो गया तो क्या दिक्कत आ गई. बिकॉज एवरी ईयर इन जनवरी देर इज़ अ डाउनफॉल इन रेवेन्यू. फॉर एग्जांपल कि नए साल है तो आपका प्रोडक्ट कोई ख़रीद नहीं रहा है नए साल में पहले 15-20 दिन. सो यू कैन चेक इट लाइक दैट. तो सोल्यूशन बिल्डिंग बिकम्स मच मोर एफिशिएंट. और रादर सोचो कि ओपन एंडेड प्रॉब्लम्स को अगर तुम डायरेक्टली ट्रीट करने जाओगे you will end up looking at 10,000 different things but you won't have an answer. So that's why mapping of these thoughts becomes much more important because this will help you कि यार layers कैसे करते हैं चीज़ों को so that you can solve it in layers. Because if your first layer is correct you don't need to solve it for the below layers, right? कि अगर मेरे को पता है कि सीजनलिटी चेक करनी है, अगर मुझे पता है कि सीजनलिटी का इशू है ही नहीं तो मुझे जो नीचे के लेयर देखने थे उसमें कि रीजन, कंट्री, मे बी स्टेट, वो सब देखने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं बची ना अभी. बिकॉज आई नो कि सीजनलिटी का प्रॉब्लम है ही नहीं. सो इफ़ यू फाइंड एन करेक्ट आंसर फॉर अपर अम्ब्रेला ऑफ थॉट्स यू डोंट नीड टू डाइव इन टू लोअर पार्ट्स ऑफ योर अम्ब्रेला, राइट? दैट्स वाई दिस थॉट मैपिंग इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट कि आप उसको लेयर तरीके से लाइक आई सेड कि ऑनियन की तरह सोचो इसको कि एक लेयर फिर उसके अंदर की लेयर फिर उसके अंदर की लेयर, सो दैट यू कैन मच मोर you can do analysis much more effectively. So that's the whole thought behind doing this exercise. Generally people directly go into assumptions कि यार हाँ ऐसा हो सकता है वैसा हो सकता है, and they start building hypothesis. Building an hypothesis is an important part, because either you have to reject it or accept the hypothesis. But यहाँ पे अगर आप hypothesis के layers बना लोगे तो it becomes effective to. So I hope you guys have understood why this is important for us to understand,
Yes.
and it will help you guys to solve an open-ended problems which we will have in sometime down the line. Great. Anything else that you guys want to ask, or we can call it a day for today?
No.
No,
Good.
nothing.
So this is it. We will meet again, and we will have something much more exciting for you guys. So stay tuned for more content, and like, share, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family who wants to be an analytics professional in their journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.